Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. We're tackling a really big question today, one that keeps a lot of educators up at night. How do you take a school that's already great and make it even better? So let's just ask it directly. How do great schools get better? It's not always about fixing something that's broken. A lot of the time, it's about finding what's working and figuring out how to push it to a whole new level. And the answer, believe it or not, doesn't actually come from the world of education. It comes from a management philosophy that says improvement isn't some project you finish, it's a mindset, a commitment to constantly, always getting better. All right, so let's dig into this. To really understand this philosophy, we have to take a little trip. And our journey starts in a pretty surprising place. Not the classroom, but the factory floor. It's all part of a quest for quality. Yeah, that's right. This whole idea got its start in manufacturing. Picture this. Companies obsessing over every single nut and bolt on an assembly line, trying to find any tiny way to eliminate mistakes and boost quality. They built a system for making things better, not just one time, but over and over again. And this is where things get really interesting. Educators had this brilliant aha moment. They realized, hey, if this system can perfect a product, why can't it perfect the process of education? And now that same thinking is being used to improve pretty much everything in a school, from how teachers teach to how the whole place is run. Okay, so what is this game-changing idea? It's got a name, Total Quality Management. You'll probably hear people call it TQM for short. Let's really break down what that means. At its heart, TQM is a philosophy built on two huge pillars, always getting better and everyone working together. The total part? That means everyone is involved, from the principal all the way to the newest teacher. Quality is the mission, and management is the system that organizes everybody to make it happen. So here we've got the four big ideas that make TQM tick. First, continuous improvement. That's the core belief that you're never done. Then, customer focus, which forces us to ask who we're really serving, and that's the students. Next is teamwork, which is all about breaking down walls between teachers and administrators. And finally, data-based decision-making. This one is huge. It's about replacing guesswork with cold, hard evidence. Okay, but let's pause on that second one for a second. Customer focus. That brings up a really, really important question, doesn't it? When we're talking about a school, who exactly is the customer? Well, in the TQM world, the answer is crystal clear. The student is the primary customer. Why? Because the whole point of a school, its product, if you want to call it that, is the learning and growth of that student. And just that simple shift in perspective, it changes everything. It puts student needs right at the center of every single decision. Okay, so that's the big idea, but what does this actually look like day to day, inside a real school? Let's get practical and see how these principles get put into action. In a TQM school, you'd see a constant feedback loop. It's basically built into the school's DNA. This means they're actively asking students for feedback on their classes to see what's working. It means they're investing in teachers with training to help them get even better. And it's not just about what happens in the classroom. They're watching student performance data like a hawk and constantly reviewing their own rules to make sure they're still helping students succeed. And as you can see here, this is not a to-do list you just check off once. It's a living, breathing cycle. It kicks off with collecting that feedback. Then you analyze it. What's it really telling you? Based on that, you improve teaching methods. And finally, you monitor student performance to see if it worked, which of course gives you new feedback, and boom, the cycle starts all over again. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of work. And you're right, it is. It takes real commitment. So what's the payoff? Why go through all this trouble? What's in it for everyone? Well, the first big win is actually for the teachers themselves. When they are part of this constant cycle of feedback and improvement, they're not just treading water. They are actively empowered to get better at their jobs, to grow, and to really master their craft. And here's the bottom line. Better teaching means better learning. It leads directly to stronger academic results for students. It's pretty simple, really. When the entire system is designed around their needs, students just do better. But the good news doesn't stop at the classroom door. Think about the school as a whole. When you start using data to look at how things are run on the administrative side, you find all sorts of ways to become more efficient. It's like oiling a machine. Everything just runs smoother. So when you put it all together, you've got better teaching, students are getting better results, and the school itself is running like a well-oiled machine. What do you get? You get happy stakeholders. Students feel heard and supported, and parents feel confident. Everybody wins. All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, haven't we? From the factory floor to the principal's office. So let's just boil it all down. What are the key things you really need to remember from all this? First, remember TQM is all about continuous improvement. It never stops. Second, it runs on teamwork and data, not guesswork. Third, this isn't just for teachers, it's for the whole school, management included. And finally, the big payoff. It leads to better student outcomes and a much stronger institution. So we're going to leave you with one last question to chew on. This whole idea asks us to think of students as customers. If we really truly take that idea to heart, what does amazing customer service in education actually look like? It's a pretty powerful question, isn't it? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.